Hi, my name is Larissa Walker, and in this presentation I am going to be talking about the experiences of transgender students at women's colleges. The title of my research paper, Are We Doing Enough?, is my way of challenging these institutions to take a strong stance in support of transgender students. Some women's colleges, like Wellesley College and Smith College, were somewhat slow on the uptake when it came to developing inclusive policies for transgender students, not releasing their inclusion policies until 2015. While others like Mount Holyoke College were very swift to release their policies, as well as having some of the most broadly inclusive policies in comparison with other colleges. Mount Holyoke accepts transgender women, non-binary individuals, and transgender men, which is not true of other policies. The apparent differences among how various women's colleges have handled acceptance of transgender students is what brought me to my initial research question. How has the student body influenced the development of transgender communities at traditionally women's colleges over time? Based on both primary and secondary sources that I have examined, it has become clear that students at these colleges have been the driving force behind the changes in policy advocating for trans students. What I've learned is that the scholarship dates the discussion surrounding transgender students to the 2010s. However, my primary source from the Wellesley archives shows that there was a supportive community for transgender students at Wellesley at least 2 decades earlier, which brings me to my argument. Transgender students had established communities within women's colleges long before discussions taking place at the administrative level even began. An organization at Wellesley College, known most recently as Wellesley Lesbians, Bisexuals, Transgenders, and Friends, or WLBTF for short, changed their name between 1995 and 1997 so that it would include the trans identity. Because this was a student-run organization, it suggests that a group of students had already formed a supportive network for trans students to thrive in well before discussions about trans students within the administration began in the 2010s. This is an image of students at Smith College rallying together in hopes of swaying their administrators towards accepting transgender students at Smith. Smith had faced backlash from their community of alums and parents who rejected the idea of transgender students being at Smith. The students, however, wanted transgender students to be included on their campus. So why does this topic matter? Firstly, women's colleges are an especially important place to examine the experiences of transgender students because of the inherent consequence that these institutions will face by advocating for the trans community. When women's colleges support trans students, the colleges become a breeding ground for an era in which we continue to move away from the perpetuation of the gender binary. Second, we live in a time where transgender people are in danger of having their identities erased by the U.S. government, not to mention that in many other countries, trans individuals' lives are still in danger. Lastly, this discussion can be a way for these institutions to redefine womanhood. By recognizing the diverse experiences of transgender people, we can broaden our ideas of gender-based oppression, and traditionally women's colleges can become spaces where anyone who has been disadvantaged in their education based on their gender identity can grow and thrive, which I believe is what these colleges have stood for all along.